Welcome to Catholic Mom Mindset, a daily show where you learn to walk closely with the Holy Spirit so you can live the life God is calling you to. I'm your host, Sterling Jaquith. Let us begin. We're continuing our series on DISC personality typing your kids if they're old enough for you to see. Yesterday we went over high D and high I, and we're going to continue today with high S and high C. So a high S is the steadiness one. They're the ones that want everything to be, they want an even-keeled experience. Don't rock the boat. They don't want anybody's feelings to be hurt. They want everything to be kind of safe and predictable. They're like, hey, things are great the way that it is. Why would we change it? And their biggest fear is loss of security or peace. So either security financially or with their home or a job. I've seen high S's stay at their job for way longer than they should because it's just so scary to them to think about leaving. And then also they just want to keep the peace with everyone. So they won't speak up for themselves very often because they don't want someone else to be upset. And when someone else is upset, they're going to go in and try to calm them down to keep the peace among all the people around them. And this is a great personality type because, especially for me, because I tend to live in the clouds and I'm like, everything will be fine. And a high S will pull me down and go, well, let's think about it. Let's not go too quickly. Let's, do one new thing at a time, which is really great for a high I like me to have someone to kind of balance that out. And so if you've got a kiddo who's a high S, you're going to need to sit them down and explain things to them because it's going to be very upsetting to them to change houses or change schools or when siblings are arguing or when parents are arguing. So you want to educate them around how that is their superpower and it's so great, but we also can't use that as an excuse to not stand up for ourselves or do what God is asking us to do. Your high S kid might be your easiest kid, because they're just kind of hanging out quietly in the background, but I'd be careful of that. I'm always careful about the kid that I'm not thinking about. Right? We tend to think about the kids that are troublemakers or complainers. We don't always think about the quiet, happy ones, but they have a lot going on underneath the surface. And so we've got to work harder to pull it out of them. Right? So if I had a high S kid that just seemed okay and seemed kind of cool all the time, I might take them out and just be like, hey, what are some things that are on your mind? And I might proactively say, your dad was gone hunting for a while. How did you feel about that? What were you thinking? And I would just want to hear their thought process. And if I could educate them about their high S-ness, I could give them some tools to manage their worrying. So again, and I said this in the last episode, we don't have to put people in a box, but I just find that understanding someone's inclinations helps us to speak their language and work with them better. And then as parents, I really like playing to the kids' strengths and then shoring up their weaknesses, just helping them understand, hey, you're really good at this. Right? So this kiddo might be really good at diffusing tension between the siblings. Right? This kiddo might know when a parent just needs a hug. And you can say, I love that about you. You are the peacemaker of our family. Now, you don't want to put undue burden on them, right? We don't want them to be the one that's like, everybody has to get along at all costs. That's not really great either. So you can work with them to just understand this personality type. The last one is a high C. C stands for conscientious. These are the people that are very particular. They're very orderly. They like things folded a certain way. They like numbers. They like systems, right? These are the accountants of the world. And they really like order. And they like things to be predictable. And actually, their greatest fear is criticism or not being accurate. Right? Like it would drive them bananas if you found something that was wrong with their work. And so they're driven by that fear And that's why they work so hard to make sure that everything is in place. And sometimes the world rewards this personality type if they get into the right career path, like if they're into math or computer programming. But if they aren't, if they get into a different kind of career path, they might be labeled as annoying or nerdy or a stick in the mud or just a negative view of this personality type if they're not in the right setting. And so helping them to understand this is a very powerful personality type, but then also giving them the tools for it not to lead to anxiety, to not push those kind of obsessive compulsive behavior type. And so if I had a high C kid too, I would also give them the jobs that make the most sense for them. In a previous episode, it was my business podcast. I was talking about how I paid my 7-year-old to take a towel and a spray bottle and clean all around each pole in our banister. We have a stairway banister that's painted white, so it shows any kind of dirt or fingerprints on it. And it was driving me bananas. And I was like, oh, that kiddo will be the right one. And she just loved it. She listened to an audiobook and she just sat there and cleaned it with great meticulous care because she has high C. And so I didn't ask my high I kid to do that because she would have just been like, la, 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 I forgot and followed a butterfly and then talked to my friends. And I didn't even get the job started. So I find it helps too to understand these personality types with our kids, just to then give them the jobs in the family that make the most sense for them. Let's play to their strengths. And then I do like to explain to them when they're in an area that isn't their strength, that they can know that about their brain. It's not a feeling, right? It doesn't make them a bad person, but we can say, you know what? You're not as detail oriented. So when you have these jobs, just hype yourself up a little bit more. Okay, this isn't my strong suit, but I got this. I can focus. For my high I daughter, I'd be like, give yourself a 10-minute timer and just focus as hard as you can for 10 minutes. Then take a break. And I did this with my high D husband. I was like, hey, listen, you can be the smartest guy in the room and you can be right. But if you squash everyone in the conversation, no one will want to be friends with you. So you have to learn how to be gentle and ask other people's opinions if you want to get along with other people and have more friends. So I just love the DISC personality type system. You can just Google it, DISC. There's a whole bunch of websites that you can look into. And I just think being informed about this as a parent can be really powerful and help set your kids up for success. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Mom Mindset. To learn more about growing closer to the Holy Spirit, check out our free resources at madeforgreatness.co. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day.